على السيارة اللي كادت تدهسك يا اسطى، كادت تاخذ هذيك الكامل حتى يكون لك القدرة والقابلية انك تواجه الخصوم في نهاية المباراة. فاكس اوبا يا فاكس، وش هذا العنف يا فريق الموف، وش هذا على الثلاثي الذهبي لمباراة رينجل فريق 69 فريق الفيوتشر نتس جن واللي سميه طبعا الفور دبليو، وكذلك كتيبة البرايد اللي حصل معنا الانتصار الاول وفي المباراة الاستفتاحية. موسى منا هناك على اقصائه النقاط وضرب سراي مع ذلك الفايكنجز مرة اخرى يشتعل هذه المرة وين في كوشيكي في ارضك يا رؤوف، في ارض البالكن، في ارض الصقور المملكة، في ارض النسور، اوه على السيما والمغادرة، ولكن بتحصيل 5 نقاط و5 خسارات حاليا قد خطف الصدارة من جديد في جدول الترتيب الاجمالي الفعلي والحقيقي. موري كرأس حربة مباشرة بدون اي تخاذل، بدون اي تردد، بدون اي تراجع، بشجاعة كبيرة جدا يحاول هنا ان يصمد، يحاول ان يتواجد، يحاول ان يبقي على حظوظ فريقه من اجل مواصلة هذه المباراة. نعم ايبو وزميله من ال69 طبعا لم يستطيعوا تعويض ما فعلوا هناك في المباراة السابقة عكس فريق البرايد. قد تكون النهاية لهذا الحوار، ولكن في البداية فقط عودة الصورة معنا شادو يلقى الخطر، هو يحاول أن يصافح الخطر، ولكن مصافحة الخطر تؤذيك مباشرة. الأذى الأكبر يأتي من دينجر آخر. ثنائية ضد يزيد بقنبلة جبارة ورائعة جدا. الله 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 الله، استعان لم تكن عبثا، لا بل كانت خطة محكمة من عموري، كانت خطة محكمة من الدخول من طرف فرقة الكي الليجند كيلرز على كونان بوي ورفقائه سلوم، يستقبلون بلغة الرصاص، يتكلمون ولأي مفاهمة لا يفهمون.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is showtime. It is the Pmnc Kenya training event. And what a ride this is about to be. The best of the best teams from Kenya going head to head as they lock in. As for my lighting, the best of the best teams from Kenya going head to head to see who is going to, get a little bit of an edge over the rest of the other team as they battle tomorrow in the official PUBG Mobile National Championship for Kenya. But let's take a quick look at said teams, and it's going to be very interesting here. We've got the one and the only. We have got Death Dose, and everyone knows that Death Dose is going to be the look out for. If you're not aware, you are absolutely going to be aware right now. But taking a look down, you see the guys from One Take Esports as well, Brutal, Psycho Esports. You've got IGL Esports, Horn Legends, Vexor Esports, Relentless is also in the mix, Execute, Forbidden, Call Me Esports, Excess Power. The Clutch Gods are also in the mix, Rush Esports, Fallen Ruthless. I know we've got a lot of fans of Fallen Ruthless in the chat. So let's hear from some of you that are fans of Fallen Ruthless. We've also got the guys from Extra, and we've got I believe that is 5SW Esport, and we've got 4 packets, 4 Dark Tempers, and then we will head straight into the map schedule for tonight. Rondo is going to be match number 1, and then we will head into Erangel, then close match number 3 with Miramar, and then end the match with match number 4 in Erangel. Absolutely incredible teams that we've got lined up for you, so stay tuned and stay locked in and stay ready. It is going to be a party tonight, and everyone knows for a fact that Kenya is the strongest region in Africa. I want to find out. We're going to find out tonight, right? If Kenya is the strongest region in Africa, and I'm super excited to see if that is going to be the case. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about. PUBG Mobile action at its finest, and we are all looking forward to putting this on. And I hope, and I'm super excited to see who is going to take that match number 1 chicken dinner. It's Rondo, so we're going to see a lot of recalls, a lot of pickups, a lot of action. And then we'll see for our effects who is going to, kick off strongly in match number 1. But so let me get your predictions in the chat. Who is going to take match number 1? Who is going to come out on top by the end of match number 4? Who is your money on? Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight into the action. I'm excited, and I hope you're excited as well, because everybody knows it is a party. Erangel is where it's at right now, and without further ado, this is very, very clean, crispy. But who is going to take it on? Very interesting playing path we've got for ourselves here. Southwest into the eastern side. Plane rides from Pmnc, just cuts across the military base over to the other side of Milta Power. And some of the teams will be split in 2 here, but again, gives a little bit of context though as to what teams will land where, and who's in what, and who wants to do what at what stage of the tournament. But we'll find out to see what will be the first turn of events. It looks like Fallen Ruthless are already putting the work in. I saw someone just get dropped out immediately as well, and that is relatively very, very quick. Very early too. We'll see something along those lines. But Brutal Psychos, on the other hand, here they are in Milta. A little bit of a demarcation between both sides. It's 5SW on the other side, and they might be utilizing the angles here. But Brutal Psychos did manage 1 elimination. They managed to pluck it out of the skies there. Fallen Ruthless as well on the receiving end. And this is not what they were looking out for, because Horn Legends will have them by the ropes. Take a couple of eliminations down there as well, and we'll be closing out relatively very quickly. But Shakid will not be taking it on to the other side. That's a beautiful shot with a shotgun immediately as well, and puts things into perspective here. Hornledge is in trouble, tries to go for the second, but Shakid will be dropped away. Fallen Ruthless does have Zeber on the other side, trying to get his teammates back up, and he does manage to close it down. 5 eliminations for Fallen Ruthless, and they will make the opposition 4. Horn Legends, unfortunately, biting the dust. Playzone already on the move. That is how you start off. That is how you. What a quick drop off immediately as well. So big shout out to. I'm loving this production, man. You can see the live location of every single team here, so we know exactly where the potential action could be brewing. I think we've got 2 teams in Quarry, Team Execute and I think Forbidden. Going on in there. Legends for them just get eliminated by Fallen Ruthless. I did talk about Fallen Ruthless and how ruthless they are, but looks like Brutal Psychos are going to be on the receiving end of some more chaos. Not what I was expecting to see at this stage of the game. It's relatively very, very early. They might be able to turn the tide. Now there will be a bit of a question and answer between these 2 sides. Brutal Cycles back to somewhat of a semblance of full strength as he activating the stims. We've seen a little bit of strategy from both teams. You can see Tezzy playing off a little bit of an off angle onto that eastern side, trying to get an angle on 5SW. They are playing a 2-1 split with 7 just up ahead. Again, it is going to be very chaotic if they can't find a way around Milta. Playzone already hot on his heels, moving across as well. It could be very interesting to see what would be the dynamic between all of these teams. We've seen them play this again and again. But this is the training event for Kenya. And Vexor ESports doing something very interesting, going for a little bit of a rotation, one might add. Interestingly enough, I mean, this zone is looking like it's looking like it's going to be like a military-based thing. So it's a matter of who gets there first, who makes the right call, who makes the right decision, who does the right thing. That is where it's that is what it's really about. Who is going to be proactive? Who is going to change the dynamic of every single rotation going forward? It looks like oh, well, it looks like something interesting is going on there, and the Brutal Psycho is probably setting the standard how they would want to make their rotations. It's something that we've seen before. It's something that we might see more of as the tournament progresses. Ooh, well, Ethox thought he was going to be very, very sneaky there, but immediately gets caught off, and that will be the end of the road for him as well. Low key, making a high key for him. He goes back into the lobby with the quickness. Again, trying to the other side. Bison in the hand. He sprays over to the right, but immediately the shotgun will shut him down and will put him gone. But a shotgun from Low Key as well. He's going high key now, but he's no match for an assault rifle at that range. He gets dropped away. Brutal Psychos up to 4. Tezzy did get knocked away, but managed to hang on for his teammates to get the job done. Brutal Psychos will claim Milta. Claim it quietly. Did get a casualty in that exchange, but it's nothing unheard of. You can see just tried to go for the Bison, but unfortunately, there was still another person, I believe, with an S12K just outside, or rather just inside on the left-hand side, almost trying to drop him through. Yeah, that's from Extra. Making your own little bit of a rotation as well. We did talk about how this could be a military-based thing, right? It would be very interesting to see if it is going to be a military-based thing. Ooh, well, IGL Esports already on the front foot. That will be one for the books. Grenade launched over. Cyrox, the victim, he gets knocked away. Flushed as well. Following suit. Yakari. Oh, well, that was dangerously close. Almost getting swept aside there by IGL. They probably had him in the sidelines, and they will press forward here. They have him dialed in. Probably gonna force the exchange between the two teams, but again, there's so much to play for at this stage. The play zone shrinking ever so tightly. We talk about how this could be a military-based thing. It really depends on who's gonna get there first. Most of the teams are settled in right there, but they haven't necessarily committed just yet. That could be a very, very huge defining moment. Forbidden trying to play a little something special on the bridge. I mean, that would be a smart call. You don't necessarily have to leave the bridge though, because it could get very ugly if that play zone shifts away from the bridge. It could get very, very ugly. Could change everything at this stage. There is a time lapse and a time stamp onto your rotations, and Dark will be the ones feeling it this time around. It will be eliminated as well. Went packing into the lobby. Ooh. Well, Executor starting to execute yet again, looking very, very comfortable. They're sending shots over to the guys from Forbidden as well. They're trading off Echo to get a little bit of an angle there, but unfortunately will not work. One of his teammates is going to bear the brunt of an M416 from distance. as we are in phase 2 of the circle. It is going to get even much more difficult as they advance, as the seconds are dwindling away. Dian as well, with Dabs also making a little bit of a play for it, unavailable, getting knocked by Cyrox. Is very very interesting there that XS have something on the other hand, and they might decide to descend from the hilltop again. Would that be ideal? I don't see that being ideal though. Doesn't look like it would be a smart play for XS if they do want to give up their high ground position. But Vexor ESports will be biting the dust. They will go out. No point. One elimination secured as well, but so many ways this could have gone for them either way. Forbidden continuously applying that pressure from the high ground as well. They will be able to get the job done. Execute. Getting absolutely executed there. Forbidden putting in the work. Overcraft might be going up in flames there if he's not careful with having to manage that exchange. Rest of Fallen Ruthless, not a bad spot for them to be in. I mean, this is this compound is rather this building is notoriously difficult to breach, especially for a team that does know how to play a split. It will take a lot of resources actually to make it happen. But Clutch Gods, on the other hand, are deciding. Sure, if they are deciding to make a play for it. Again, does everyone want to commit to the military base play though? Do they want to commit? Because it still hasn't like circled in. There's still a little bit of ferry pier in there. There's still a little bit, you know, of the mainland in there as well. But Fallen Ruthless have been spotted by Clutch God. So they might decide they want to be the ones to keep them at bay. Would be very interesting if they can actually manage it. Death Dose in trouble though. Glitch getting knocked away there in that exchange. That would be the first casualty of the night. Rush, on the other hand, trying to gatekeep this angle here, but Glixie has an open space on the other side. Grenade almost getting swept off. That's a beautiful grenade over the top, but Glixie has to fall back just a little bit more. Again, the numbers are not favorable, and that grenade just a couple of inches wide, not enough to get the job done, but second grenade from Glixie, almost on the money, but the terrain is not favorable either way. He will launch a third. Again, misses out. We'll try a second one to for good measure, but Goat Tally almost getting swept away. He does have the DBS immediately exposed. Ellie with the drop onto that angle. Immediately he feels it, and Death goes onto Siege again. Jogo not quick enough. Glix, the Glixie man, dropping them one after the other. You would think they were an album where he's dropping them, but unfortunately Glixie, the 1 HP there, but he can take the risk. He can press forward. He does have a teammate playing an off angle on that western side. Might decide to take it upon himself to close this down. Another grenade over the top. There's a P90 in there. It's a game changer. It's a game breaker. But Ellie is still holding a dangerous off angle, applying pressure as well for Rush Esports. Can they rush their way back into this game? They do manage to get their numbers up. Jogo still knocked away. Grenades flying all over the place from Death Dose, and they are trying to give a dose of death to the guys from Rush Esports, but they can't seem to find an angle just right. They are facing the bridge on the wrong side. Jogo goes down again. Rush Esports in trouble this time around because William already making a play for it into the zone. He circles back, plays behind the booth, and an open space for Gotali again. Grenade in hand, but Rush is pressing forward, and he catches him with the grenade in hand. The vehicle blows over to the left-hand side. First drop. Glixie goes down. Rush on the front foot. Gotali as well. Pressure is nothing for Rush Esports. They will rush Death Dose back into the lobby with the quickness, and Death Dose will feel the death. But William probably trying to hold this on. It's a 1 versus 3. There's pressure on him now. He's utilizing the smokes to close this down. Another grenade over the top. Kenya is showing their steel, and Death Dose doesn't look like they will be able to deal with Rush on this open plane. There's too much resources getting burned away here, and it doesn't look like they will be able to see this one through. But One Take Esports will manage to circle backwards and hold on just a little bit more. You can see now the Playzone has capitalized and finally decided to move into military base. And it is military bases to take on ears and executions. It is things we've seen before. William. Is that William from Death Dose? He already made a rotation around. He's been spotted as well, but I don't think they are going to press this forward because everybody's trying to get into the play zone now. The second bridge unoccupied though, but I believe some teams have already made the wiser choice of making a quick play and a quick rotation. It is phase 3, 10 seconds onto the play zone starts to shift again. And it will force these teams into making frantic decisions. IGL sitting quite nicely, uncontested as well, not necessarily having to move around too much. But we've seen them. We know how capable they are of keeping it tight, keeping it close. Brutal Psychos trying to hold the bridge play, but unfortunately they didn't find any casualties. And they will be able to just keep things together just a little bit longer, just a little bit more, just a little bit of a quick pro quo extra, getting caught out in the open. And Pmnc Esports will capitalize on that one, a knock coming through and a flush to follow for sure. That will be the end of the road for him as well. It look like he can't do much from this Liu position, getting panned by Liu Kang. Big shout out to the Mortal Kombat fans in the chat. Chat, who do you think is taking this game? I think Brutal Cycles are looking good. The only thing Brutal Cycles don't have is the numbers. You know, Rush looked very good, but that press was shaky with Death Joes. I didn't like the way they handled that. Yeah, they came out on top, but that was based off individual brilliance. It wasn't like I wouldn't call it a team thing. You know, I wouldn't necessarily like allure it to a team thing. You know, but I think Brutal Cycles or Forbidden. I think they're doing. I think they look much more solid. You know, but we'll see. A little bit of something on the bridge though, as expected. You know, what's a military base zone without a little bit of bridge on bridge action, or a little bit of a trade-off as well from William, but not enough for him. Is he leaving behind his vehicle, or this is I'm not sure how he's going to survive this one. He did secure one elimination on the road. Is it enough? Is it enough? Get the job done. Well, we'll see. Bit of a make it or break it position. A little bit of an acre for Forbidden here. Call me getting pulled back to the lobby. Unfortunately, have another one out into the open space. Let's get knocked away though. Doesn't look like he can get picked up. A little bit of there. In a split, getting caught out. Brutal Psychos have something for them for sure. Viper with a sight line, probably waiting for that pickup to come through, and they will send another into the scene to cause a little bit more chaos. But Brutal Psychos looking very good. Again, they are a very solid team when it comes to transition, and I believe they did catch that teammate for Call Me that was trying to go for the pickup, and he was knocked away there. Or almost knocked away there, but not too much for him. He will be able to circle back. Try again. Hovercraft in permission. Allows for IGL to make the rotations. Consequently, the hovercraft goes up in flames. Been a little bit of a time lapse for when they want to make the next rotation into the zone. Liu Kang has been knocked away. Pmnc Esports in a little bit of a bother there. William, Renee getting charged up. That one almost worked, but it didn't work the way he expected. It's a shotgun on shotgun battle, but not this time for William. Death Dose will be sent back into the lobby, and Skoda will make sure. Pmnc Esports in one take Death Dose back into the lobby. Omi will use another to the Brutal Psychos, or was it to the Brutal Psychos? I'm not sure. I think it was to someone else. 5 eliminations though for them. Rush Esports losing Jogo to the play zone. They are up to 7 eliminations. They are cruising. A man short. Not what they were expecting, but it looks like it will be a little bit of a battle of a trade-off here. Forbidden already pressing forward. utilizing the numbers, utilizing the positional awareness that they've got so far. IGL could be in a little bit of trouble here. Grenade in hand, launched, not enough, not effective enough. Might decide to bounce it off the wall there to get his angles right, but he's charging the grenade. A little bit too long there. Vehicle goes up. He does manage to get out of dodge in time. But trying to capitulate all the opposition. But Rush Esports lose another. Trade-off is good, but VPX getting caught out. A dangerous play and a costly one as well for them, but the angles from the back end overly exposed. Trade-off for Black, as he is trying his absolute best to hold on. Call Me also have another player that tries to get out of dodge, get repositioned with his teammates onto that southwestern side. A little bit of an open space there. Bison and AEG combinations coming through with the M4. Ellie plays on for Rush Esports on the other side, calls his teammates for them to make that rotation. But it could be a very deadly play if it doesn't work out the way they were expecting, almost getting pulled out of that vehicle. If he's not lucky enough, he might be. But fortunately for him, but I spoke too soon. Stands in the middle of the road and tries to take him out, and he does take one out, and he might take two. But Black manages not to escape, but it is going to be DG, the Clutch Gods, MS to close that down. Not the way they were expecting this one to go, but it did go in that general direction. Did manage to send them all the way back. Now there will be trade-off. Maybe that's something that we've seen before. Saint looking for a way inside. The Clutch Gods looking quite comfortable here, but they are playing as 3. All about the rotations into the final third now. All about the right calls, all about the execution. IGL Esports down to a solo man. He is inside of the play zone, but he might not be inside of the next one. So a little bit of an interesting 10 out there. Relentless looking for their way inside as well. Play zone shifts again. Cyrox from Excess enjoying the play zone a little bit more than he would have liked there. Ooh, almost getting. Leave one of the players from Relentless knocked away there. That was very, very dangerous, very close. But the Clutch Gods will not clutch any further. Back into the lobby they will go. On their way back, Chizzy looking for just that opening. Looking for a little bit of that peak. An opening space just to create a path for his teammates to follow through. IGL Esports also getting sent back into the lobby with the quickness. High ground position here for one touch. They're looking very comfortable. We're down to 4 teams now. 12 players alive. Saint, Skoda working hand in hand there, but I did talk about Forbidden. As I said, they were the most solid looking team so far with the way they had played in this map, so it is something to look out for. Forbidden again, 5 eliminations to the good, a plethora of utilities, everything is out into the open for them, and now that will be a drop. Echo sends reverberations across the map, and that will be Hyunbin getting back into the lobby as well. He will be kissing this game goodbye. Dembe Zuma trying to leco forward, but Cheesy falls immediately to Echo. And they will try to be a little bit further there, but it looks like Forbidden Esports are cruising forward, but Echo is going to be knocked away there. Tries to circle back, and he's out into the open space. The Bison from Saint is purging them one after the other. A little bit of an open space there, and that is what the play zone will give you. One touch, one take, Esports are taking. And surely it is Excess Power's game to win. It is a 2 versus 1. They have majority of the play zone. They have the angles to work with. Cyrox, 6 eliminations. I would be impressed if he is the MVP, because I'm pretty sure that some other players did do a little bit 1-2 on the rebound, but we'll see for ourselves if that's going to be the case. But Saint on the other side, 2 versus 1. Would be impressive if he manages to scale this through. Erangel is the open space they might be looking out for here if they can find a way through. Saint can find a way through there, and the airdrop lands just on the rooftop. Heavily blessed, you would think, for XS. A little bit of a Saint. Is he going to ascend for One Take Esports? Well, it looks like big shout out to production because they just pulled the stats right as I said it. So Cyrox is MVP as it stands and is most likely going to be MVP because the gap between him and Tezzy is sequential, and Tezzy's already sent back into the lobby. So we can see that for a set piece here. I think is utilizing the smoke. Good use of the utilities there. Cyrox with a smoke of his own. Saint has to move a little bit faster than that one. The play zone is not favorable, not even in the slide test. Ooh, on that grenade was perfect. Perfectly launched. He walked right into that one. And excess power will take that chicken dinner because their power is just too much. Solid performance from them. 8 eliminations. Cyrox moving mountains, moving that chicken dinner to and from opposition, and that is what we love, ladies and gentlemen. That is a match well done. Excess power, Cyrox. But we did see some, honorable mentions in there. We saw a little bit of an interesting performance. We saw some teams step up to the plate. They put in the work as well. We saw Echo from Forbidden. We saw a little bit of something from Tezzy as well, and we saw a couple of teams that we could be on the lookout for come Pmnc Kenya tomorrow. But it's a little bit too early to judge. It's one game down. We've still got 3 more games to go. It is anybody's game at this stage. But a chicken dinner starting up quite nicely is still a ways to go. The likes of Brutal Psychos, the likes of Fallen Ruthless, Death Dose still have a lot to offer. The big dogs, they still have a lot to offer. We're still keeping our eyes on them to see how they are going to perform. But, let's take a look at the stats from this previous game. How did the teams fare? And let's take a look at that. Ooh, well. Cyrox, big game player, 7 eliminations, 1200 in damage points, and 1 elimination from Mazin. Again, Mazin was just there to, just to help his teammates get the chicken dinner. Was just hanging around, pointing out the enemies for Cyrox, and Cyrox just mowed them down. And now, see how the top teams for eliminations is looking. We'll take a look at that. Black and doing a major number for them, 9 eliminations to the good for Black. Ellie with nothing, but he did put in some damage in there as well, and then 3 and 2 for Juggle. Juggle did get knocked away a lot actually for Rush Esports, but it was still obviously impressive. But let's take a look at the MVP. I believe Cyrox, yes, excess power taking that MVP, and you can take a look at that. The damage received and the damage dealt tells you a lot about how consistent and solid his performance was, for excess power. It's a big game for him. But let's take a look at the top 4 players: Cyrox, Tezzy, Echo, and Black for Rush Esports. 4 different players from 4 different teams. That is to tell you that I feel it's going to be like this for the entirety of tonight's practice game. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that is going to be the case nonetheless. But it's still very proactive for some of the teams here. We've seen them. But let's take a look at the results from this game, and let's take a quick glance to see how close it is in fruition. Take a look at that. 18 points for excess power. One take, 5 points behind, tied at the hip with Forbidden as well, 13 apiece. Brutal Cycles with 11 as well. Top 4 secured for them for game 1. Rush Esports with 9. Fallen Ruthless with 7 as well. Relentless with 6. IGL with 5. And Clutch Gods with 5 as well. And on the other side, we have Death Dose, not where I would expect to see them, but Execute is also in their conversations with 2, and Horn Legends also with 2, and Call Me Esports, Vexor, and 5SW with 1 apiece. 64 limbs in total, with 66 of those being knocks. Couple damage points there, and 116 throwables. A lot of throwing around for that. 28 assists as well and less than 8,000 in heals. I was expecting a lot of heals because a lot of it was a military based thing, but 2 airdrops were looted up. I believe I saw a P90 somewhere in there, so that tells you. And Chizzy did get the longest elimination, 300 meters. Well, that is a very, 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 very good start, very solid start for the guys from Excess Power. That's what we love to see. But ladies and gentlemen, 1 game down, 3 more to go. It's Erangel. Erangel down and dusted. Rondo is up next. So we already know one thing, it's going to be so much chaos in the next game. So stay tuned. Don't touch that down. Don't forget to follow, like, share, bring some people in the chat. See you in match number 2, Rondo. After the break. All right. So while we before. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the party. It is the Pmnc train game scrims for Kenya, and we just had our first match go down. Excess power showing their steel, showing what they're made of. Wait, substitutions too? That was production on that one. And it is something special. We are in Rondo now, so everybody has to be to go. But who is going to come out on top? That is real. That is the real question. This is where it really matters. Who's going to come out on top? We're about to find out. Death Dose turned out a little bit of a, fortunately, stinker of a performance they put up in the previous game. It did not pan out the way they wanted. Fortunately, that was not the most ideal way for things to play out, but they will be learning the hard way. We're gonna have to try again and again to find your footing. A couple of shots there from Glitch. Unfortunately, he is surrounded, he is overwhelmed, and that will be the end of the road for him, as he has been sent back into the lobby. Not what he was expecting, but well, doesn't necessarily have a choice. I'm going to see if everyone will be consistent with how they perform over these next couple of games. Now Shakir was going to have to circle back again just to get a little bit of an angle here. 2 eliminations for Fallen Ruthless. Very good start for them as well. Still sitting a little bit away, but nothing we haven't seen before. Haven't experienced as well. They are very tumultuous, you know, the way we've seen the team so far is something that's a very, very unorthodox, but very, very interesting, you know, to say the least. And it's nothing untoward, you know, if you ask me. It's absolutely nothing untoward. Again, it's something that we've seen again and again. Aggressor goes down, he's knocked away. They necessarily like, you know, that press forward, team execute losing out. A little bit of a brawl going down for them as well. Not the way they wanted this game to kick off. One Take Esports also on the other side. They will touch a little bit of grass there, but you can't escape. Shakid's S12K will take one straight to the head with a noggin shot there for Shakid, but he puts it down immediately. And that will put things into perspective as to how they will want to progress going forward. There will be a narrow position. They will try again. I will try to lock down a little bit more time, but we've seen the guys from Pmnc Esports. All right. All right. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I'm just getting a little bit of an update from production that we are going to be restarting the game. So, okay. So it's from production. They're going to reset a little bit and then get back to you. I'll do apologies for the technical difficulties, but it will be sorted momentarily, and then everything will be back on track. Again, I do apologize. I don't know what's going on with my lighting. It's plugged into the power source, but it keeps flickering. I have been trying to sort it out, unfortunately, but it just keeps being stubborn. I don't know why. Well, I think I'm pretty. I think you can still see me, right? I am getting some lighting from my monitor screens. There's some lighting on this end, but you know, it's enough to go through. I am going to add some more ambient lighting on the background that isn't connected to like the same grid, so we'll sort that out. But yeah, okay, so we did have a little bit of early eliminations. I think I saw someone from Team Execute get eliminated as well. Fallen Ruthless losing out. Not the best way to kick off the game. If you're telling me that one is not necessarily the best way to kick the game off. But we are back, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go back straight into the game. And let's get a quick hands-on there. Play zone shifts over to the north side. And how many places inside of this zone do we even really have that is playable? You know, that is a real question. How many places do we even have that's playable? You know, a lot of bridges here, a lot of obstacles there, a lot of angles on the other side as well. But we're about to see if that will be the case. We did lose Rush and 5SW in a couple of exchanges there. Inferno is going to be trying his best to lead forward, but XT with a line in of their own. Forbidden also, I believe Inferno was spotted, probably gonna have a couple shots sent his way, but Sato is going to be knocked away by Shakid. Fallen Ruthless taking it on and dropping bodies in their wake. They are looking very, very proactive in the way they have been dealing with the opposition so far. We are keeping our eyes peeled, you know, a little bit closer. One would think a little bit of a drop shot there. Inferno goes down. Not necessarily the best thing for him. Not expecting that one, but you will feel the heat. Glixie and the rest of the guys from Death Dose. We do have Vexor ESports playing as a duo. But then playing as a duo though, do we like do we advance on that? How realistic is that? Yakari, his teammate. Also, Brutal Psychos playing a little bit slower, but they have secured a couple of eliminations on that ground. So it's not a crazy shout. You know, it's definitely not a crazy shout. Extra have Chain Nexus on the other hand. Oh, I see what that is. Is that, I think that's a recall notification up there. Oh, that is so cool. That is a recall notification. That is so cool. That is the coolest thing you would see any other day, man. That is so cool. So Jimmy on the other side has been looking onto pressing a little bit further than what he was used to again, but it's not too bad for them. Extra Inferno will be getting picked up. Oh, he did get sent back into the lobby by Yakari. Well, I was not expecting that one, but Yakari with an angle and a half, causing chaos. EMP is in full effect here. Okay, well, spoke too soon. It's no longer active there. Dark Tempers also having to reposition. I know they gift vehicles in this game. Someone should gift me a vehicle, guys. I need a vehicle. I don't have any skins and I don't have any vehicles. Someone should change my life, guys. Someone should gift me something. I know they do that in this game now. There was a time that when that wasn't possible. I'm pretty sure you can do that now. Someone should gift me a vehicle. Oh, well, Echo is going to be knocked away though. Forbidden. And they hold this on. Echo has been picked up though. It's a 4-man step. They can easily defend this. And the grenades keep flying through from Dark Tempers. They are continuously applying pressure here. They are managing to see their way through. A little bit of a drop step into the open space. Can't find a way through. Devil gets a hit. He might be able to circumvent his own position there to close this down. Grenade launched over to the right. He goes down as well. Not the way he was expecting it to go down, but it is the way it goes down nonetheless. Vaughn, sightline of his own. He does have his teammates in a little bit of an interesting split here just outside the track. Again, I don't know how consistent they can be with plays like this, though, with all of the players just split a little bit too wide. Yakari is still a threat. Is still a major danger. Dodging out, trying to play it closer. And he is going for the press forward, for the Dark Tempers. They have that pep in their step. They have managed to drop a couple of bodies in their wake. Might be able to see this through. Can close it down just a little bit more. That line is good either way, but Devil is trying to make sure that the job here is done. It is launched, just misses a couple of inches there. Vaughn almost turning into Swiss cheese there, but he has to press forward now, and he does get the first drop onto Nova. Molotov on the right forces the exchange over to the other side, and he might go for the jump shot. It goes for the second. That's 2 now for Vaughn. King Vaughn! King Vaughn! Oh my word! Brutal Psychos. 2 brutal King Vaughn. Sending them all to the afterlife. Dark not dark enough. And brutal psychos. Showing why they are one of the best. King Von with a jump shot, a flake shot. All that was left was going to be a drop shot, but he made it pop. Brutal psychos. My goodness. What a day. And Inferno is trying to make it on the other side. He gets dropped again. I believe that is like the third time Inferno is getting dropped away there. Rusciano for falling Ruthless back into the mix, back into the conversation as well. A bit of a trade-off that we've seen so far. But that will be a little bit of a trade-off there, but what I'm hearing is we might be having a little problem with the game server here, but hopefully it gets sorted out. And now we are trying to track here, but falling Ruthless with a sightline of their own over to the top hillside. Shakid with thoughts of his own. Now he wants to transition. It will be a little bit of a thought here. One cuz. Ooh. But Fallen Ruthless looking good. 10 eliminations as well. I think they are tied with Brutal Psychos. It is going to be very interesting to see these two teams go head to head in the PMNC as it kicks off. Will be a little bit of a cause and effect here from what we've seen. There can be a lot of chaotic positions here. We've seen them try again and again to keep the pressure off there for Pmnc Esports. We are in phase 3 of the circle. We've got 40 players still alive. We've got 12 teams. I believe the recalls must be packed up by now. I don't think I'll be seeing any recalls going forward. There is going to be a little bit of a stomp in how we've managed to hold off to the team so far, but again, there is so much chaos in the zone. One Take Esports being one of them. And it is Urek. He has been knocked away there. Wait a minute. Okay, well, I can't talk about that right now, but I just noticed something very interesting. But Fallen Ruthless, 11 eliminations now. They're adding more and more and more. Zeba still yet to find his own first elimination just yet. Hopefully it will come sooner rather than later. Immortal, not immortal enough. He gets knocked away. Zeba with an open space, finally getting that first drop. And he might be getting that flush as well to follow suit. Big drop there for Dark Tempers. Again, a beautiful trade-off. Shakir going to be the victim. Headshots only. But he can't seem to find his angles just right. He will bite the dust. He goes back into the lobby. That will be the end of the road for the Dark Tempers. Shakir did get knocked away, but there was not enough conviction on the follow through. He will not be getting flushed. There will be a little bit of a tattletale position from what we've seen so far. We've seen them in so many different ways, in so many different positions. There could be a little bit of chaos that ensues with what we've seen so far. And sightlines from Glixie there. Death Dose still yet to find your footing as much as they would have loved to find it. You do have a sightline in there as well. Wait, is that telling us that there's an AWM in an airdrop? Is that giving us airdrop information? Yo, that is insane. That is insane, chat. Brutal Psycho is still looking good though. 12 eliminations to the good. And they are very, very confident in the way that they are playing right now. It is something we've seen before. It is something that we'll see again. Things are not looking too far-fetched. It's a little bit more chaotic than they would have liked. That's a beautiful shot from Ethox again. He packs one in. But the play zone is not favorable. He gets brought out by Dickens, and Relentless will do as their name so says. They stay relentless. They will cause chaos for Viper and the guys from the Brutal Psychos, causing them a little bit of chaos there, but they will not stop even when they are under siege. Humbin onto the other side, phrase off again. Humbin, oh, And Vaughn, unfortunately, not this time for him. He will be getting knocked away. Ideally, doesn't look like he will be getting picked up as well. Opposition too far out. Vaughn will be flushed by Dickens. Will be a bit of a troubled position for them, but Brutal Psychos will capitalize. 14 eliminations, not a bad shout either way. Although the chicken dinner is going to be very elusive with 2 players knocked away, and it's likely going to be flushed as well. And that will be the end of the road for them following suit. But Brutal Psychos not too bad of a shout as well. They will be advancing. They will try time and time again to see this all the way through. They will try to pack it all the way through. We'll try to add more numbers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of a technical break. We'll be right back just to give you guys all the action. We are back. Death Dose already on the assault. 5 eliminations. And it looks like that chicken dinner is within grasp for them. Playing a little bit slow, but it is effective. The winners from match number 1 have been eliminated. Excess Power. They have been sent back into the lobby, not the way they were expecting, but it is part of the story here. They will take a hit and more. That might be where things will start to get a little bit dicier for them. Fallen Ruthless, on the other hand, looking very, very confident in their press, looking very, very wholesome. 19 eliminations. And these are why they are regarded as the big dogs. And a grenade tossed over there. I believe the Horn Legends are feeling this one. Wonka's already on the front foot. He does have an idea that he does have opposition over to that eastern side. Another grenade flies just by his side. But a couple of inches, not enough. Launch another one again. Surely one will connect. Surely he launches one back. A trade-off is good. Bounces the car away. But this time around, he's no match for Rishiano. And that will be 20 eliminations for Fallen Ruthless. Ruthless is the name of the game now. It is 2 of the big dogs against each other. We've still got a last player for Horn Legends still in the mix there. Or rather, is it actually one of the guys from One Take in the mix there. Death Dose trying to make their own work through into the corner, taking, advancing forward. Beautiful use of the smokes there to create a little bit of a shield, but they have been spotted out. The drops in the air, the shield positions, we see them working out. But now Deathdos have to press a little bit forward. There's a 2-2 split. Taken and William playing southern, and Glitch plays onto the western side with Taken as well. They are trying to hold on into that corner. Glixie also with a fantastic grenade over the top. Wankus peeks out. He's going to be knocked away by Taken. Grenade is perfectly launched and is causing a little bit of chaos there, but Fallen Ruthless will hang on just a little bit longer. Liu Kang and Skoda working hand in hand to see this through. There is so much utilities going up in flames here. Grenades, Molotov, smokes, Taken, pressing even further with the S12K. He's caught out into the open. Liu Kang, can he turn into the dragon? Can he breathe fire? Not this time. Taken will take him back into the lobby. Deathdos dealing death left, right and center, pressing forward again. Falling Ruthless, opportunity for them to capitalize, but they have a player knocked away. Saber now looking for an angle over to that right hand side, might cause a little bit more commotion for Deathdos there. They could be in trouble. Grenade and Molotov flying all the way through to that left hand side. Taken tries again, tries to leverage forward, can't seem to find a way to break in stride. William and playing forward again. Glixie makes the run a little bit forward the other side. The smoke gun launches out, tries to shield position, works out in his favor. They will launch again. It is a 4 versus 3, but the angles for Deathdos a little bit too tight. Falling Ruthless in the pressure, and they are holding on. Zaber takes a little bit damage from the zone. We'll try again. Chaos onto the other side. There is so much that he can't seem to find, and he will try to hold on just a little bit longer, but he can't seem to make it happen. Chaos, more chaos here. Glixie tries to pop through. S12K, but not this time. Fallen Ruthless dealing damage once again to the guys from Deathdos. It is not what they were expecting, but it is how the game played out. It is absolutely well deserved, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you make it happen. Deathdos turning up the heat, turning it all the way around. That is how we do it. Absolutely incredible performance from them. For Falling Ruthless, showing us how to make it happen. Deathdos putting up quite a fight in that exchange. But it was always going to be about who was in the right place, who was in the right zone, who did the right thing at the right time. And that is just exactly how it played out. And that's what we love to see, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be... All right, ladies and gentlemen, 2 games down, 2 more to go. And I think we have Miramar next. So do not touch that. That will be right back after the break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. It is the Pmnc Kenya training event, and let's take a quick look at the overall standings from the previous game. We do apologize for the technicals that went down a little bit, unfortunately, but I think everything is back and ready to go. Falling Ruthless catapulting themselves to top 1 with 41 points and a leap over Brutal Psychos in second place with 26, and We'll Take Esports with 22. 20 for Excess Power, seeing as they did secure the chicken dinner in the first game. GL Esports also trailing behind with just 2 points with 18. 16 for Forbidden, 15 for Death Dose, 13 for Relentless, and 11 for Horn Legends. And it's not over just yet. We are super duper locked in. Rush Esports also leading the charge on the other side of that leaderboard. So as it stands right now, Falling Ruthless and Excess Power have taken 2 chicken dinners. There's still 2 more to go, and Miramar is going to be our next map. But ladies and gentlemen, do not run away. We are locked in, very locked in, and we are looking very interestingly at how this is going to pan out. Like you said, the big dogs are already looking very confident here. Falling Ruthless, you know, Brutal Psychos, those teams that we know and we expect to perform exceptionally are doing everything in how they expect to do it right. We are looking very sharp. Again, very interesting turn of events there. We have a pretty cool, I would say, playing path that cuts across a central position. You know, we are heading from Thea Bronca. You know, we've got Cruz Divine in the mix there. We've got Water Treatment. We have got Hacienda del Patron. We've got San Martin. We've got the Graveyard. We've also got La Bendita. Los Leones not too far off. A couple of teams have started to make their rotations, or rather have decided to make their, you know, adjustments to whatever this playing path is. Now a sight line of how I was trying to park things up just a little bit on the edge there, but again, it's not something we haven't seen before, right? I would be impressed. I would be very impressed if we see something out of the norm, but right now it's pretty decent. You know, the Kenyan teams are showing what they're made of. They're looking very confident. They're looking very solid. They're looking very capable, and I would be impressed. But it looks like Rush will be having one of their players nicked in the bud here. We have so far we've got 17 teams all looking for a way to partner out, and it is something that I would be expecting for some of these teams. You know, is something that I would be expecting if we did have a way around it. But you know, there's so much to look out for, right? Because Zamzam is going to be a victim of his own hubris there. Does get knocked away. Horn Legends also putting in that work against the guys from Forbidden. They have held a little bit of an L there in that exchange. They will probably try to maneuver their way around. It is still anyone's game, still anyone's plan. We'll duck it up to how they would like to keep things under wraps there, but it is very ideal as to how they have been able to manage their expectations we know for a fact that it is very, very astute the way they have been able to see this through. Now, pressure is on, and it continues to mount. Brutal Psychos have a pretty solid game in the previous encounter. They are looking like they are trying to close this down, but it is looking very, very unfortunate. Again, they are trying to make sure they back this up. One cars onto the ground floor again. The thing with Miramar and these buildings, these places, you know, they take a lot of resources, and they take a lot of planning and waiting, you know, and organizing. And here comes Jogo. He's trying to take the press forward there against the guys from IGL. He prays, but unfortunately, he can't seem to get the angles right. Bit of a back shot into the corner. Oh, that's a nice shot from Jogo. And now he does manage to get an opening that he has been looking for. He is trying to get his teammate picked up, and I don't think they know that he's getting his teammate picked up here. You got to commit, and here they come. He's pressing forward now, and he's looking for that opening. Pressure is on again. Couple shots sent his way. He's ground floored it. Still picking up a couple utilities there. They are trying to lock it in just a little bit more there, but it doesn't look like it will work. Joko gets so caught into the Ross angle, but Ellie is there to save the day. 4 eliminations for Rush Esports, and that is the best thing that could have happened for them at that stage. They continue to hang on just a little bit longer. For me, on the other hand, not so lucky. We're down to 15 teams now. 2 teams have already bitten the dust, and there will be more to join them momentarily. Death Dose on a pressing forward position again. Glixie setting a screen and setting a play across the board there. Open space that they've even been trying to lynch forward, but it doesn't look like it will be one for the books. There they have the sight lines. It might work the way they were expecting. Oh, that's an open space from Glixie. He finds the angle. 4 eliminations now for Death Dose. And they are dosing it. Absolutely dosing it. That is what we love to see. Absolute chaos. But Death Dose will always rise above. They will always turn the heat up. There could be so many different ways that this pans out. But it is something we've seen before. Can there be an angle here for Dickens? Doesn't look like there will be. Relentless Esports did lose Chizzy earlier on. They didn't stop them from securing 2 eliminations in the bag, though. Did not change the trajectory of how they were moving at all. Not even in the slightest, you know? Not even in the slightest. They stuck to the plan and they stayed consistent, and that is how you make it happen. But taking a look at the live locations now, we've got Falling Ruthless in Pecado with the guys from Brutal Psychos. Los Leones will be home to Pmnc Esports, and the IGL in El Azhar. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. I'm pretty sure. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool. So now we've got nobody's in San Martin. That's actually quite interesting, though. The fact that there's nobody in San Martin, and it looks like Falling Ruthless are taking hits. Where are they taking hits? In Pecado? Looks like they're taking hits in Pecado, and it looks like it's Brutal Cycles that are giving them the business. But it is a trade-off. King Von already pressing forward, and we know how dangerous this guy is. But Shakid also has something for him. He's trying to dial him in. There's a gas can right behind him, and he might get blown away. Have no idea that Tezzy was right in the corner there. Makes him pay for it immediately as well. Zeba trying to get an angle here. Shotguns, Molotovs, all the utilities flying front and center. Rishano sends a couple there, but unfortunately, nothing will take. Can't seem to find his way around it. We'll try to make a quick buck if he can there, if he can find an angle to squeeze it through. We can't seem to, fortunately. It can be a very, very long minutes. Leaning ahead here for the guys from Fallen Ruthless if they can't seem to find their way out of Picado unscathed, because they've already lost 2. And not just any 2, they've lost Shakid. That is not a player you want to lose. Absolutely not. But the pressure, nonetheless, continues to mount on. Well, we have seen how prerogative it can get. We will see the lines there, but with the Psychos, again, the gap between first place and second is quite alarming. It is very, very large. It's a leap between the two sides, and Brutal Cycle's doing the absolute best to catch on, but anything outside of a chicken dinner, it's not looking very likely, seeing as Fallen Ruthless got a 20 bomber. And Immortal is not in the squad, fortunately. Again, this might be the coolest production I've ever seen, man, because what? Osprey, on the other hand, is looking very confident on how they will try to hold this little hillside they've got so far. Relentless still hanging out. Doesn't look like much from their position again, but not the worst thing in the world. They've tried their absolute best to close out the opposition as best they could. 10 minutes down. Phase 1 of the circle finally closing out. Ayok. Guys, come on, man. These names, dog. Yeah, you guys, there's no way. You know, you guys know I'm doing Pmnc Kenya, right? There's no way I'm saying these names. I will not say these names on the official PUBG Mobile live stream. You guys know this. You know me. You know I will not say these names. You guys have to do better. Do better. do yeah, do better, guys. All right, are we good? Are we back? Back, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. A little bit of technical level. We're back. Marciano, Fallen Ruthless. I think they've actually found a way to escape out of Picado. Found a little way. Found a little piece of a little place to call home for the most part. But how proactive can it? Well, we're about to find out. Brutal Psychos, good start for them though, but they need a whole lot more if they are trying to catch up to Fallen Ruthless. Let's not forget, Fallen Ruthless are still very much in the game here. There's still a chance that they still get some points, right? There's still a chance they still get way more points, and they can still turn this around, right? There's still very much in the mix there. Still very much a chance that that can happen. You know, but we're about to see. We are absolutely about to see. Now there is space. The way they are trying to close out. All right, looks like we're back again. Apologies. Power outage is really harming the systems again. Oh, I don't mind now. But Horn Legends on the front foot here. 4 eliminations for them. Dynamo was caught in the earlier tussle. He did get sent back into the lobby. Not what he was expecting to happen, but it is part of the aesthetic. And they will try to bulldoze his way into that final 3rd position. But right now, Playzone is closing out, and the teams are making their rotation. They are trying to get into that final phase of the circle, not having to cause too much chaos, cause too much of a ruckus as they make their arrivals. You can see 4 pockets full. Still yet to find their way through and rush. Jogo is the one that opens the scoring there. They had no idea that he was lurking in the shadows. Well, they know now. Molotovs, grenades, everything out in the open there. Jogo trying to park into the corner. Jogo is 2 for 2. He drops the second. 4 pockets. Their cup is about to get full right now. Grenade. Yo, this is from my end. I'm experiencing some major technical difficulties on my end, so I'm trying to sort it out. My audio keeps cutting out, but hopefully I will be able to sort it momentarily. I do apologize for the technicals. But yeah, I think I just missed Jogo putting the screws to 4 pockets full. I think they do have a player still alive though, still trying to find his way through there. But please give me a moment. Let me just sort out my audio quickly. No more than 90 seconds. Just a little bit of a moment there. But Horn Legends in a quick pro here. Ethan goes down. Dembe closing down with the DBS, shuts it down immediately. They're trying to pack into the corner there. A couple shots through, and he does manage to close him down. Well. Puts him on the blacklist and sends him back into the lobby. You would not expect that one. But that is how you...
أعزائي المشاهدين أحبائي المتابعين, welcome back. Hello, I'm just covering for Priest, waiting for him to come back. Hello and welcome back, guys. My casting will be in Arabic, guys, so I hope you will forgive me for any English speaking viewer that is with us tonight. فريق الدارك تمبرز يتقدمون معنا ب4 لاعبين ولكن بدون تحصيل ولا نقطة لحد اللحظة ولحد الآن، في معاناة كبيرة جدا في جدول الترتيب الإجمالي بتحصيل 3 نقاط فقط من مباراتين سابقتين، وهذه هي المباراة الثالثة. أما لو نحكي على المبدعين الرائعين، نحكي طبعا على البروتال سايكوز متواجدين معنا في مركز ثاني، ولو أن الفارق واسع نوعا ما بينهم وما بين الصدارة. هنا يستهدفون لاعبين الفريق ال5SW عطاير كيستا في وضعية النوك داون والإصابة. باي باي أوريفوار. الله على هذا التقدم. خلينا نتابع ونشاهد معكم ما يجري معنا في هذه اللحظات وفي هذه الأجواء، والعودة بكم مباشرة لفريق ال5SW Esports. نعم، التحاق ماشيكسال بهذه التشكيلة هل يعطاهم أكيد الدفعة اللي يحتاجوها؟ الواقع يقول لا، الواقع يقول أن البروتال سيكونوا قاسيين جدا عليكم في هذه اللحظات. 6 من الإليمينيشنز و6 من الإقصاءات، ولكن هناك من يتربص بكم، ولكن هناك من يراقبكم من أعلى الهضاب من بعيد. وفي يده قناص سيتحدى به رياح الميرامار. اضرب وارمي على الراس مباشرة. أخطأ الهدف، ولكن نعم عنده محاولات أخرى قادر أن يوظفها. انفيرنو كذلك رفيقه الآخر متواجد وحاضر في هذه اللحظات طبعا، والصعوبة ستكون مستمرة ومتكررة على فريق الإكسترا، لأنه ما فيش إكسترا تايم في هذه المباراة يا ناس. نعم، مباراة بدون وقت بدل ضائع، مباراة لما تنتهي سينتهي المشوار بأكمله. الفيكسور اي سبورتس من هناك يا ترى ما يفعلون وماذا يا بريست يقدمون؟
Ladies and gentlemen, big shout out to Zed for keeping us going, but the party's still on. Death Dose on the front foot right now, and Glixie with a couple shots with the AUG gets the right angle there, and that will be a job. Well done. Vexor ESports have been sent back into the lobby courtesy of Death Dose. Well, solid performance there. It is something for the books that we have already seen so far. But Death Dose, it looks like they are starting to get into their stride. Starting to get very, very confident, starting to get very, very comfortable. They will look to find more and more ways to get more points on the board. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make your presence felt. A solid performance nonetheless. Fallen Ruthless still very much in the game here. Brutal Cycles as well. Same thing with Death Dose and One Take Esports. All looking for a way to find your rhythm. It doesn't get lost. Skoda goes back into the lobby courtesy of Jogo, and Rush Esports have been putting in a shift here courtesy of Jogo, man. He has been incredible so far for them, even from game 1. But now the Dark Temper is putting in a little bit of a shift here. They are making quick work of the angles here. Beautiful shots to follow through. Can't seem to find a way around it. There will be a job to see in the way they have been able to close down a little bit of the pressure here, but they still can't seem to find any eliminations just yet to raise the bar for themselves as they approach our final third. But Team Execute very proactive though. They are trying to seal this through, but it doesn't look like much is going on. They did lose one of their teammates in that escape. Ooh, well, take a look at that. Falling Ruthless sent back into the lobby, and Team Execute will be following suit again. Brutal Psychos looking very confident here. They are dropping bodies left, right, and center, and we're down to just 9 teams, and the players continuously reduce. And the chaos continuously advance even further. Inferno and a couple of his teammates also deep in the south. Resso and Mateo also deep in the south. They will need to make their advance into the zone relatively very, very quickly. Mateo and the guys from Horn Legends have had a pretty decent game, 7 eliminations, but they still have a ways to go here. Nice shot from Urek. And he manages to close down Rush Esports. They will be finding themselves back into the lobby. The worst thing in the world for them, but first elimination on the books for Urek there. One Take Esports already sitting in the top 4. They will be looking to close this down a little bit earlier, and it would be a little bit more proactive if they can find their way. There could be some chaotic scenes here for Death Dose. They can find an angle to shut this down. Would be very, very problematic if they can't seem to find a way through. Here they come again. One Take Lost 2 in the process. They are sitting quite nicely inside of the zone, but it's too central. And it is going to cost a lot for them to make an advance once the play zone shifts away from that position. Gardner, sight line is good. Can't seem to find Urek. He saw him, got a little bit of a pixel there, but it's not enough to chase him down. Not enough to change the direction of the assault either way. But he will try nonetheless. Dark Tempers on the front foot. 4 players up, 2 eliminations. It is not a bad shout. End of the road for them as well. Looks like the excess power not too confident here. External, so they'll try their best, but Horn Legends again fighting tooth and nail to get inside of the zone. They do have a vehicle, Inferno, with a sightline on them. He's taking heavy damage. This is not the play zone you want to take these risks in. A little bit more of an expensive piece of play here. I'll make your way around, and he does for Brutal Psychos. What a drop that was. And they find their way through, they find their way into the zone without losing too many bodies. That is a very, very solid way to get into the zone. They're losing out not too much, but now they will try again. Ethox goes down, Viper still knocked away, bleeding out. 1 HP per second. Urek on the other side again, trying to make quick work of this position. One Take Esports will circle back and will try to hold it down, but it doesn't look like much. It look like it will seal the deal here, but there's angles to be looked out for. There's positions to cover. William, Death Dose once again playing the right game, playing the proper positions. They are trying to open up a little bit of space. What we've seen so far could work out in their favor if they do manage to see it through. But Dark Tempers, how far can they make it? That's a fantastic grenade actually from Tezzy. And Brutal Psychos have this one in the sidelines there. They have this in the pipeline. They might be able to close the gap just a little bit further. Tezzy, oh, that's a fantastic grenade. Bounced off just a little bit too long there. Almost caused him a little bit of a problem. And he tried to escape. He gets dropped away. That's a fantastic grenade. Dark Tempers showing how dangerous they are with the utilities, and they're feeling it around right now. Brutal Psycho is going to be the first victims, but now they will have to make their way into the zone. Fawn on the left-hand side sees the assault. He will press forward any moment from now. Will open the sidelines, will open the positions a little bit more for them, but they have to advance. And here comes Shadow. He has a sideline and a half to advance even further. But the play zone is not favorable. It is so unforgiving. Death Dose now with a sideline of their own. He's exposed, and that will be the end of the road for Dark. Go for it. Well. It looks like a whole lot of bodies was flying around. Brutal Psychos being the latest victim sent back into the lobby. And Death Dose showing exactly why they are Kenya's finest. 12 eliminations, a couple more to add to the bill. Launching one over the top side as well. They will take more commensurations and positions, but now they do have the numbers, but Death Dose have every single angle and base covered. One Take Esports in a very, very proactive position. They have lined up the shots here. Devil still knocked away. Doesn't look like he will be getting picked up. And Urek with a sideline of his own, but the plays are not favorable. Molotov onto Glitch. He gets burned at the stake, and that will be the end of the road for him. Doesn't look like Shadow will allow him to get picked up. William on the off angle, again into a circumcisable position. If he can get the circumstances under wraps here, he might be able to wrap this one up, but it might be getting cut off onto the other side again. It is so chaotic, but take a look at the smoke path for Glitch. They have created a line for him. Shadow takes the bait and he will be flushed, and that will be the end of the road for him. It is a 3 versus 2 now. It is Death Dose against, oh, that was very close. Glixie almost getting torn to shreds there by the vehicle, and another vehicle. He spawns right, had no idea. Glixie blindsided, getting knocked away there. William perhaps through. His shots don't connect. One Take Esports are about to do all this in one take. No stop of the camera this time. William tosses a grenade just to shield the vision, but it's not enough. The press is already on. They've lost one, and the trade-off is so good at this stage that One Take Esports might capitalize on the position, and they might take it upon themselves to close this down and make the job even easier. There is so much to look out for in this position. Again, they might be able to lock this down, but it's a 2 versus 2. It's anybody's game now. And an over-top grenade into that corner from Glitch, but he can't seem to find it just right. Urek trying to circle back. He's exposed. First shot is good. Oh, that's a beautiful shot again. Saint, he has to pray now that it works this time. He might be getting blown away. Vehicles and sight lines and hilltops inside of vicinity. Can't seem to close down. Death Dose on the front foot now. They might be able to get this job done for Saint. We know how capable he is for One-Take Esports. Tries to take a couple more shots again. That will be a job well done. And that will be William. Hits the deck. He takes a hit as well, but he knows that he's 1 HP. Glitch is trying to circle back. Play off the right-hand side. He can allow Saint to get back up, but Saint gets back up, but he shuts him down. And Death Dose will take that chicken dinner in the easiest of fashions, but it was so dangerously close to going either way. 15 eliminations. Now that is how you catch up to the opposition. Absolutely astounding performance from Death Dose. They've turned it around. They have added more. Big performance, very big performance for Death Dose, as they deserved. You can't even fault them. Fallen Ruthless, Death Dose, Brutal Cycles, these are the teams that we are expecting to turn up the heat, and they have turned up the heat. We have loved every single moment of their performance, and they have been very consistent. They grew a little bit into the game, took a little bit of time to get their bearings right, but they got it right, and they showed their quality, they showed their levels, and they turned things up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you know the good, the better, and the absolute best. And Death Dose might just be the best in Kenya, but we're going to find out by the end of game number 4. But after 3 games, it is neck and neck right now after these two stellar performances from Fallen Ruthless and Death Dose. It has been absolutely incredible watching these two teams, and the likes of Brutal Cycles Execute and a bunch of other teams that have put up a lot of a solid performance to the plate. But it is not over just yet. There is more to come. Stay stacked in. But let's take a quick look at the stats, and let's see, how did these teams fare, or how did these teams fare? And take a look at that. 15 eliminations. My word. 8 for Glitch, 3 for Glixie, 4 for William, and Taken was there for the vibes. Big vibe game player. Gotta love the vibes. And who was the MVP? Of course, is Glitch. 8 eliminations, 1200 in damage points, a turnover and a half. Something we love to absolutely see through and through again. Absolutely incredible performance. Take a look at the top 4 players. Glitch, Jogo, as expected. Jogo was putting in work. 7 eliminations as well. William with 4, and Mateo also with 4 from Han Legends. Again, 4 different players. 4 different players, but 2 from one team. William and Glitch putting in a masterclass of a performance in match number 3 to show you how it looks. But take a look at Glitch and Jogo. I mean, take a look at that. It is so tight. It is so tight between these two sides, between these two players, in this Miramar run through. But absolutely incredible performance from each player, showing exactly their quality. And then we'll take a look at the leaderboard. What does it say? Well, take a look at that. 25 points for Death Dose and 14 for Brutal Cycles. I mean, big game from Death Dose as well. One Take with 11, Horn Legends with 9, Dark Tempers with 8, also 8 for Rush Esports, Execute with 4, Relentless with 4, and Extra with 3. Again, on the other side, 4 pockets full, getting absolutely outclassed. We saw that earlier on. Jelly Sports with 2 as well, Vexor and Calm Esports and Forbidden 1 apiece, Falling Ruthless, 5W, and Clutch Gods, unfortunately, no points on the board for them. And take a look at that, 61 eliminations. We are rolling in the 60s today. Big numbers, a couple of big damage points as well. 13,000 rather, as a couple of throwables as well to follow suit. We saw a big number flying off the rails there, flying off the radar. That is one for the books that we've seen so far, but what a performance either way. And on the other side, we have a couple of assists as well, again, to turn it into space. 4,700 in heals. 1 airdrop was looted. 340 meters, 345 meters for Shadow, for Dark Tempers. Again, impressive stuff for him. But take a look at that. Death Dose showing their levels as well. Rush, Brutal Cycles, Horn Legends, Dark, Relentless, all in the mix here. One Take Esports, all of these teams putting in that work. And that is something we love to absolutely see on each part. But now let's take a look at the overall leaderboard. Fallen Ruthless in the mix here, 41 points. And now things are getting very, very interesting. Death Dose with 40, Brutal Cycles also with 40, One Take with 33. It is anyone's game going into the final game as well. Excess Power, after that chicken dinner, the fall off is, it has to be studied. It has to absolutely be studied. But Horn Legends have now caught up. Also IGL Esports, Relentless with 17, tied with Forbidden as well on the bottom side. And on the rest of the other teams, Rush Esports, with their performance, it was actually very typical, you know, the way they've been able to hold off. But Dark Tempers with 11 points and Execute with 8, Clutch Gods with 8 as well, Combi Esports with 7, Vexor with 6, 4Pack is 4 with 4, and Extra with 3, and 5SW with 2. But let's take a look at the MVP race and who is leading the charge there. Tezzy is in front. And One Cause, again, trying to turn this around. He's still on the chase there with 12 eliminations. But Glitch has also announced his arrival there with 11 of his own, Viper with 10, and Mateo from Horn Legends with 9. Big game players nonetheless. 3 games down, 1 more to go. We just wrapped up Miramar. Erangel is up next for match number 4. Do not touch that dial, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Pmnc Kenya training event, and we have seen an amazing performance from 3 different teams, but it is still more to come. But ladies and gentlemen, 3 games down, 1 more to go. We'll be right back after the break to bring you more PUBG Mobile action. Stay tuned.
جدا عليكم في هذه اللحظات 6 من الإليمينيشنز و6 من الإقصاءات، ولكن هناك من يتربص بكم، ولكن هناك من يلاقي. الواقع يقول لا. الواقع موجودين معنا في المركز الثاني، ولو أن الفارق واسع نوعا ما بينهم وما بين الصدارة. هنا يستهدفون اللاعبين الفريق الفايف.
We are back. Game number 4, Pmnc Kenya training series. Big shout out to Death Dose for putting this together as well. And big shout out to the Kenyan community for being a good sport and showing their levels. I think we've seen an amazing performance nonetheless, right? From the likes of Death Dose. It's part of the ecosystem, you know. Playing path is good though. Can't fault that one. Towards the southern side, very proactive, slow paced. We've seen teams play like this before, and we've seen them get very, very reactive. You know, with how the zone has managed to close out, and with all the things that we've seen these teams do. You know, Pmnc tomorrow is going to be something special, that's for sure. But I am very impressed with what I've seen so far from a couple of these teams. I can't wait to see them in the finals. And then even after that, I'm also looking forward to a solid performance on the other side when this is all over, right? A couple of teams, I'm still looking out to see if Forbidden will step up to the plate, though. It's been a very, very tricky one for them. Same thing for Team Rush. Oh, that's a nice shot from Jamal. Extra sitting second to last place. You know, I would think the fight would have gone out of their eyes, but seems I'm mistaken. They still got a little bit of action in them, though. Ooh, nice one from Rush. Does manage to get the first drop. I decided to go for a flush as well, but swaps through instead. Does he go for a reload? Doesn't look like he does. He goes for the flush instead. I'm not sure why they force for the bait. And he goes for the second. My goodness. Rush is clinical with the 1v1s. They are so clinical with the 1v1s, especially when they isolate players. They are so clinical with the 1v1s. It is so brutal how they manage, but Unfortunately, Jamal will not see us through, and he gets his great shot out by Ellie. Not what he was expecting, but that is part of the game. That is part of the structure of what we've seen so far from some of these teams. They have stood up to the plate, and unavailable is unavailable again. That is one for the books, though. We've seen how proactive, some of these teams can get, and we've seen them turn around and do things in a very, very interesting fashion. Again, they've been very, very cautious in their own escapades. IGL have been eliminated, end of the road for them. We're down to 16 teams now, 61 players in the cut, and they are looking very, very, very solid with how they've managed to hang on just a little bit longer. It's a good performance. For the likes of One Take Esports, I would be impressed if they do manage to make it into the top 3. I would be very, very impressed if they manage to make it into the top 3 because of the likes of the teams that are ahead of them. The likes of Death Dose, Brutal Psychos and Fallen Ruthless. Those teams have stood up the test of, incredible resolve. And that's one thing that I have expressed satisfaction in. But the first zone is closing out any moment from now, so we'll see who's going to make the right rotations. I think we had a little bit of a different shift. We did have a little bit of a different shift in the first Erangel game, though. It was very different because we had like the military base finish, and it tested a lot of teams who were proactive, rewarded those teams that got off, crossed the bridge early and made it to the other side. It was very proactive, and it paid off for most of them. But now I don't think we're going to have that. Now it's a matter of who's going to be more proactive to get into better positions going into the final third. That is where the real work is at. That's really where it's at. Now there will be a little bit of tantamount success, but very interesting. Immortal going down yet again. Pmnc Esports have, I don't think they've ever really found their footing. Same thing with 5SW, right? I don't think they ever found their footing. I just don't think they ever found their footing. You just never saw it, and hopefully, the practice games will give them an opportunity to gain some insight into what they would expect to see come Pmnc tomorrow. And now, a little bit of a turnout from what we've been used to. Most teams are putting things together here. Interesting turn of events here. But Pmnc, I'm quite impressed that they have still kept the lights on here. And I think it's Whole Legends on the receiving end. Dynamo just too far away. I think this was just a collision on getting caught out on rotation. I think that was what happened here. So that is just one of those things. It's just one of those things. Someone taking accountability. Someone turning up to the... But it could be anyone's game in that final third, It could be anyone's game in that final third, And there will be a very interesting cop-out for a couple of teams that can't seem to find their way through. But again, that is the idea behind the practice games. It gives the opportunity to reposition, gives a chance, for teams to put themselves into the right spots ahead of the official tournament tomorrow. It's a very, very good start to the game nonetheless, but I will keep my eye out. I will definitely keep my eye out to some of these teams tomorrow to see if they will be consistent with their performances. Because, it's one thing to ask, it's another thing to deliver and execute. Not impressive enough for me today. Absolutely not impressive enough for me today. They have a lot of capabilities. This is something we know. But again, they've been shut out again. And EXT, on the other hand, Jamal being the victim, getting caught out right now. Phase 2 of the circle closed out a little bit earlier into that northern side shooting range, and a little bit of Saverni in the zone right now. We've got the guys from Clutch Gods southeast, uncontested, but too far out from the zone. But their rotation is very, very decent, though. It looks very pure. Pmnc has a bunch of teams in a central position here, trying to hold themselves off. Dean is going to be the last one here. There's a chance he might get caught out and sent back. He doesn't keep his footsteps hidden. ISW lose out, but they do secure 2 eliminations, but not enough to change this. So Martial goes down. Not the drafts they were expecting there. Feroz almost turning this defense into attack, though. Feroz probably going to try something again, but that could be very problematic. Feroz again with the grenades. Can he find the angle, though? It's very tight. It is too tight. And he might be able to lock it down. Yeah, that grenade has charged a little bit too long. It would have been too funny if that exploded in his hands, though. It would have been too funny. Absolutely hilarious, you know. Down to 16 teams. Still, interesting enough, we're still down to 16 teams. Phase 2 closes down. We still have 16 teams, but we do have 50 players as well. Verox, not the shout they were expecting, but it does relieve some of that pressure for Vexor. Verox is all left to him now. Molotov already sent his way. Good angle from him, though. He does put a couple shots past the open space. Another Molotov. He manages to dodge these with precision, though. Just before they land, he manages to escape the danger. Relentless, on the other hand, they've got 2 bodies. They've got 2 vehicles and a couple of bodies in the area to get the job done here. Feroz getting absolutely overwhelmed on 2 fronts, and the job is going to be done. That will be the end of the road for them. Second team to be sent away. Hopefully they will learn a lot from this and kick up and do much, much better as this progresses. Fortunately for them, low stakes. There's a whole lot of learning that has to go into this one. Brutal Psychos also going to utilize how much they've learned from this to put themselves into a nice spot. To keep things very kosher. The Execute still holding their own positions there. They have been. Oh, what a grenade that was from Lawaria. What a drop. Execute getting executed by one fell swoop, by one grenade. Closes everything down. What a grenade that was. A 3-piece nugget with that grenade. And excess power, showing their power again. Again, that puts them into a nice spot, staying inside of the top 5. Could do so much better, though. You know, after the first chicken dinner they had in the first game, it just looked very, very chaotic for them in every other game. You know, and interesting enough, that was in Erangel. So I'm starting to see that this might just be that this is the map they like a little bit more. Dean, the last man for Extra. Not sure if excess power are aware. I'm not sure they're aware that he's just one guy. But that grenade could escape the UMP from Mason. And that's the end of the road for him. We're down to 13 in the box right now. 44 players up. And we are heading into phase 3 of the circle in a couple of seconds. Pressure is going to mount even harder. Could be so many different ways this goes, seeing as the play zone is a little bit more towards the north and the northwestern side. But shooting range is where it's at. I mean, seeing after that first shift of the zone, shooting range is where everyone should be. Fallen Ruthless taking an advantage of understanding the terrain, playing a little bit of a 2-out split. And now the play zone is closing out into phase 3. We're about to see who made the right choice. Well, shooting range has been forced out. Rozok is where it's at, and the Sunken City. A little bit of ruins over to that western side, so we're going to see who is going to make the right decision. But I think we do have some teams in Rozok and Sunken City already, so they are already lucky to make that right call. Boatyard is still very much in the mix here. Gives a little bit of context for Brutal Psychos. I think they are aware that one of the players from 5SW had no idea there, but he's going to be sent Abdaka trying to close it down, but no dice. Viper will unleash some venom, and that will be the end of the road for him. Back into the lobby he goes as well. We're down to 12 now. 42 players in the cut, all looking for a way to see that chicken dinner through. Absolutely chaotic scenes from what we've seen so far. Clutch Gods, oh, they're playing as a duo. I'm seeing why their rotations are so slow. I see. That makes sense now. That makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense. Rotation slow because of the... Yeah, just because of the fact that they are playing as two. So they can't really cover that much ground, as opposed to being a 4-man team. And that's one of the things you got to understand, right? If you're playing as a 4-man team, the chances of you doing certain things is just that much more significant. You can cover more ground, you can gather more intel. When you're playing as two, even as a 3-man, that extra man is so key. It is so key. And Rush, I'm not sure how they feel about this one, but Ellie's on the other side and has been knocked away. Will Ellie get picked up? A major player to lose at this stage. Is still a little bit too early, but unfortunately, it will not be the case. Ellie will be sent back into the lobby. Zamzam and the rest of the team here still thinking, still trying to execute into that final third of the zone, but most of the teams are inside of the zone. We still have a couple of stragglers, I believe, 3 teams straggling about, trying to find their way through. And we've got the guys from Death Dose inside of Ruins. They have a sight line onto the boatyard, though, and they still have all of their players, so they don't necessarily do too much. Oh, we've got a P90 in the airdrop. But the thing with the P90 and having it is, the bullets, you're not going to find bullets anywhere. You're not going to find the bullets, everywhere. That's just the issue with the P90. You're just not going to find the rounds. So you have to be very, very, conservative with your rounds. If you get a knocks, you got to flush with your secondary weapon because you can't run out. You can't run out of that ammo. That's for certain. That's the worst thing to happen. You gotta minimize that ammo for sure. But all's well that ends well. Party is a bust here. Fallen Ruthless, no elimination so far. I think they are just trying to close this game out. I think they just want to win the game. Not trying to go absolutely insane with the numbers here. They've already done insane numbers, so they don't necessarily need to do the exact same thing. They've shown their resolve. But now it is, I think, on one of the teams that is still outside of the top 4 should try to win this game. But, the best team, I would say, would still be, Forbidden. Yeah, I mean, I've been rooting for them since game 1, though. But, ooh, Playzone has shifted. North side cuts across the middle of the park. Water. Rozok, a little bit of Rozok, just a slice of Rozok there, just a little slice of Rozok there. Rush in trouble out in the open, exposed. Zamzam flushed, and Rush will be down to just 1. I believe it's Jogo, the last one left. Could be chaotic for him though if he's out in the open there and dropped outside of the game. But we'll see. Only 67 rounds for Nova here. Take it if you take notes, Wow. If you take note, you will see for a fact that this is just something different. It's just something different. Man. A bit of Something interesting from Dynamo though. Horn Legends, interestingly enough, their worst game is now the last game. Wow. Lost game is now the last game. Like how do you translate that? You know, like, how do you even translate that? Car 98. I mean, we have the M1 Grand now, though, right? We have the M1 Grand now. So I think the Car 98 is cooked, man. Like bolt action, but we have an M1 Grand that's like semi-automatic bolt action type of thing, but it looks like Fallen Ruthless have decided to just take it upon themselves to deal with Call Me. And let's see, immediately one cars run someone over inside. Wow, well, that is chaotic to say the least. Another grenade and another grenade and another grenade. Immortal is too far out to cause any chaos. His grenade does not land, but I'm pretty sure they know where he is now. Mafia on the top floor. Probably gonna send a couple more grenades up there as well to deal with him. He's launching grenades in the opposite direction of where the opposition is. He gets dropped off with a jump shot as well, and Immortal is going to be the last one there. At least they did manage a couple of eliminations though, so not a bad shout at all. Lixie's now trying to close out the gap just a little bit more there, but it doesn't look like there's much to be done. Liu Kang, play zone is hurting right now. This is a bad idea. I'll be impressed if he actually makes it inside of the zone. That would be impressive, but it doesn't look like it will be the case. Saint outside takes a hit. Dynamo can't seem to find him, and that is going to be the road ending the game for him. We're down to 10 teams now, 26 players in the cut, and all looking for a chance and a half to see the game through. Might not feel a little bit more that they can chew there, but amazing from Excess Power, and the rest of the squad from Excess Power looking very confident though. And we'll see how that will digress. A bit of a shift in strategy there, but not a bad shout. Another one. I mean, the use of the utilities from Relentless here, they are being absolutely relentless. Another grenade. Rocky almost getting knocked away. Rush Esports back to the lobby for them. Unfortunately, nothing for them this time around, but they still put up a showing, you know, and Clutch Gods following suit. I mean, they were playing as two, so it was never really looking nice for them either way. A bit of a rotational hazard for Dynamo. He might be running into Death Dose and Fallen Ruthless up onto this hillside. You know, and the interesting thing about zones like these is you think you have an idea, but you don't have an idea. You know, and that is it. Death Dose now starting to add the numbers. Fallen Ruthless and Death Dose, they're playing the exact same way. They're playing the exact same thing. It's really about who gets the chicken dinner now. You know, because I don't think the elimination is going to be that far out. I don't think it's going to change much. Yeah, I don't think it's going to change much of anything regardless. I think we're going to put that one into perspective to see, but I don't really think there's going to be much to be done on that resolve. Oh, one cause takes a hit. Same as Luciano and Zaber. And it looks like it is Shakid trying to hold down the fort for Fallen Ruthless. They do have 10 eliminations though, but getting eliminated at this phase. I take a look at that Death Dose pulling up to the scene. They know all they have to do is hold down the fort just a little bit longer, and it is the top 3 teams that are in the mix here. It is the top 3 teams. It is too impressive how solid these guys are, and that will be Juan taking a hit. I'm not pretty sure they're not aware that Viper is there. William goes down, taken as well, but he trades one off in a 1v1, and Viper comes out immediately, takes a couple shots, and that will be 2 for 2. Glitch too far away to cause any problems. I spoke too soon. He was not that far, and he caused that much problems. I really thought he was too far away. I mean, I saw the sight line, and I thought that he was really too far away, but nothing is too far away for a play like Glitch. Deathdos take another chicken dinner on the path, and they will try to lock it in. We'll try to lock it in to stay onto the front lines. And what a shift that was. Deathdos second chicken dinner of the night, well deserved, solid performance. They did everything right. You know, I saw from the way they started the game, I could tell they just want to win the game. Same thing with Fallen Ruthless, though. They were playing the exact same way. Fallen Ruthless did secure significantly more eliminations than them, but the chicken dinner always reigns supreme. It's always going to push you ahead of the opposition, and that is where you want to be. Absolutely solid work from the guys from Deathdos. Let's take a look at who is in third place after the performances we just saw. But I think it is going to be Brutal Psycho Esports, BPX looking very solid, Viper, TZ, King Von, and Ethox putting in a shift and a half to get themselves into third place. But let's take a look at second place. It is none other than the guys from Fallen Ruthless, Saber, One Cuz, and I believe Shakid and Rusciano stepping into the limelight. And in first place, no other than the #1 team in Kenya right now. It is Deathdos with William, Glixie, Gotali, Glitch, and Taken getting the job done in outstanding fashion, standing 10 toes on business, turning up the heat. Absolutely incredible performance from them. They put in a hell of a shift, and they showed exactly why they are #1 in Kenya. Now all they have to do is become #1 in the region. So chat, do you guys think that Deathdos is the #1 team in Kenya, or do you think they are the #1 team in the region? Well, they have something to brag. They have something to brag with now. But let's take a look at how they finished. Right, they finished in first place, but by what margin? 58 points, 2 points ahead of Fallen Ruthless, and 7 points clear of Brutal Cycles. Again, if you say they are the best, is this a convincing performance though? Is this enough to convince you to tell you that they are the best with a 2 points? I mean, a win is a win regardless, but it is still up for debate. Fallen Ruthless and Brutal Cycles did put up an amazing performance nonetheless. One Take Esports with 33, Excess Power with 31, and Home Legends with 22, Rush with 22 as well, Relentless and IGL Esports sharing 20 apiece. And on the other side, Dark Tempers finishing quite nicely, finding their form in the last 2 games. Forbidden, unfortunately, I overestimated their capacity after the first game. Combi Esports found their footing too late. Execute never found their footing at all. Watch Gods, Vexor, 5SW, 4 pockets full, and extra lead way at the bottom. Okay, well, this is so cool, man. I've not seen this before. So what you're looking at is the team performance across all the matches for Fallen Ruthless, Brutal Cycles, Deathdos, and Rush Esports, these 4 teams, to show you a little bit of a graph, right? A graph to points ratio for each team. You can see for each match, match 1, it's you can see it's Erangel, then Rondo, then Miramar, then the last game we had. You can see the graphs to give you a little bit of an idea. You can see how Brutal Cycles lights up, then Fallen Ruthless, to see how they went, from match 1. They had a very solid match 2 in Rondo, and they fell off a little bit in Miramar, had a struggle in Miramar as opposed to Rush and Deathdos. And then in match 4, they finished quite nicely, in a little bit of a pocket of space, and that's what you just love to see. Deathdos, on the other hand, a little bit of a trajectory up and down as well. You see how they went up from match 1 and on to the other side for to look at match 4. But the MVP after 4 games, who is the MVP after 4 games? Well, none other than Tezzy from Brutal Psychos. Actually, what a performance he had he stood 10 toes down and he confirmed all of his eliminations for sure. 13 eliminations, big number for him, and chased by Wonkas as well. And then Glitch in the mix as well with Viper and Rusciano. So we have 2 players from Fallen Ruthless, a 2 for Brutal Cycles, and 1 from Death Dose being Glitch. Solid performance nonetheless. It's a big game, it's a big turnout. It's something we absolutely love to do, and it's one thing for the mix. But back-to-back chicken dinners for Death Dose sees them all the way through. And that is a job well done. Excess Power, Fallen Ruthless, and that is a game well finished. Death Dose showing exactly what they are made of. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do it. Consistency beats one-offs every single time. And I'm hoping to see more of this come Pmnc Kenya tomorrow. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. It has been an amazing turnout, amazing show. Big shout out to the production, because this has to be the coolest production sequence I have seen in 2026. It's the coolest one so far. So big shout out to the production team in my ear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight. We'll be wrapping things up. We'll see you Pmnc tomorrow. Until then, peace.